Hey guys, Tiffany here, and welcome to not only the After Hours podcast, but also the Bonfires and Castles podcast. As some of you know, if you've been listening for a while, every once in a while I do have on a guest that can fit on both platforms. So if that's possible, I like to give them some promotion on both. And this is one such guest I've known for several years. We actually met through a mutual friend of ours, Chuck Austin, when he was touring with his band Tempest. And I've seen you guys, I think every year you've come to like the Pittsburgh area. And this is Lief Sorbye. Very, very happy to have you on. And how have you been since?
It's been what, 3 years since I saw you last?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're based on the West Coast, and we haven't toured the East Coast since then. Which 2023 we did three East Coast Midwest tours, and then a lot of other things started happening, and and now we're back again next month in April.
Yes.
We'll be back on the East Coast and Midwest again. So
yes,
that should be fun.
Can't wait to see you guys. Yeah.
So catching up with you, let me see, we're in the fall of 2023.
Yeah.
And that's when things started changing for me, because I had a stupid little accident. I was on my way to the post office.
Oh no.
And I was running across this bridge, across the freeway. And there's a lot of crease in the asphalt around here from earthquakes and things.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So my foot got stuck, and I went flying and landed head first. And it was kind of, it was a silly accident, but I tore my rotator cuff and I fractured my arm. So we had to put the tour on hold, the following spring tour. I was waiting to see whether I needed to operate or not, which I didn't do. I'm a really good healer.
Yeah.
And I started, and I did physical therapy and everything was cool. But since I had downtime, I signed a publishing deal, because over the years, it's been kind of sitting there in the background, and I thought this would be a good time to do it.
Yeah.
And so I got a co-writer and a publishing contract, and started writing my autobiography.
Yeah.
And that's been very exciting. And so that took me into 2024.
Yeah.
And we still had some festival contracts and things on the West Coast from the year prior. So what we did, because we had a big reunion show at the end of 2023, just around the time I had my accident, where all the original members of the band came together.
Yeah.
We started the band back, 1988, a long time ago. And when band first starts, it's usually like friends get together playing music,
Right, yeah.
And then people grow up and have families and move away and whatever. And Adolfo and I had kept the band going for like 37 years.
Yeah.
But having this reunion inspired me to invite these guys on board for the shows we had in the books for 2024. So we did a handful of maybe a dozen gigs only that year, but it was with all the original band members.
Yeah.
And then my book came out last year, and only the first volume, because there was
going to be more than one volume.
Volume one is the book is called What I Tell My Friends, and volume one is the busking years. So it's all my crazy teenage years and stuff. I started traveling around hitchhiking and busking when I was about 15. And that's how I came to the US when I was 21. So there was just too many stories to fit into one book. So we decided to do 2 volumes. So volume one has been out for a few months and it's doing really well. And I started writing volume 2 last year, but we also started touring again. And so now I try to juggle both because I have to I'm anxious to get volume 2 out, which is the Tempest years.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so after the spring tour, I'm going to spend a couple of months getting back into the writing again.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky to do both because it's
It
all
is.
very intense stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of been a purification of sorts, going
Mm-hmm.
through childhood memories and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. So,
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And, and I'm happy that, you guys are touring again and that
yeah.
like your book is doing really well. It's like on my to read list is so long, but it's on my to read list, your volume 1 of your
Well,
book.
yeah, now it's available in 3 different formats too.
Uh-huh.
First we had the deluxe version with all the color photos and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then paperback as well
Mm-hmm.
as Kindle is available too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
covering all price categories.
Yeah.
And so it's on Amazon, and of course it's on Amazon UK as well for people overseas.
Right. Yeah.
But it's cheaper to get it directly from Tempest. From
Yes.
our website,
Yeah.
tempestmusic.com, and that,
Mm-hmm.
I sign it for people and stuff. So,
Sure.
I almost treat it like, another band product in a sense. I mean, it's obviously not a t-shirt or a record, but,
Right.
it's still that same kind of exchange,
Oh,
and,
absolutely. Feel that
and
exchange of energy and,
yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so anyway, so that's an ongoing project for me, and it's been,
Yeah.
you know, it's been, it's wild because over the years, when
Mm-hmm.
you're in a band like Tempest and you
Yeah.
spend, 80 to 100 days a year in
Mm-hmm.
moving vehicles with
Yeah.
people. You tend, I mean, my pastime is usually, like, you tell stories and share
Uh-huh.
experiences and stuff. And people
Oh,
have always said, man, you should write a book someday. You should write a book someday. Because,
yeah.
people want to hear these stories. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, it took an accident to get me off the road to do it. You know what I mean? So it had some sort of cosmic significance for
Yeah.
me. Being laid
Apparently,
up for a
yeah.
little, yeah. So it's been great fun, and also being back with original band members are a lot of fun as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
so cool that you guys were doing like some of those reunion shows, like with the
yeah,
yeah, with like the original band members and everything. And like, yeah, that's, it's kind of like that, that nostalgia for people who have like been with you guys like since the beginning.
yeah.
And then for people who are brand new to you coming in, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
hey, this is where it started, and then they get to experience that as well. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really, really kind of a cool experience. I would think like, and I'm sure for you guys too, getting a
Absolutely.
chance to play together and, and all of that. So, and your book, do you have it like with you on tour or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
For as long as supplies last anyway,
Yeah.
And in the beginning, everybody got the hardback version,
Uh-huh.
which it's a lot cooler than the paperback. But
Yeah.
paperback is more affordable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's lighter on the road. So we're
Mm-hmm.
selling a lot of paperbacks, and it's fun instead of just doing book signing. It's concert
Yeah.
with book signing, so that works well. It's
Right.
just like, yeah. We also been selling LPs lately, vinyl as well as CDs,
Oh,
and of course
nice.
we have a new tour shirt, and your local dates will be on there, and so
Woo!
yeah,
Yay.
so that's fun. That's fun. We're gonna
Yeah.
start off next month.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where we're going.
Yeah.
We're starting off in Iowa.
Woo!
We're
All
we're
right.
we're playing a barn in Williamsburg, Iowa. We've done that before.
That is so
It's an
cool.
old barn that's converted into to a concert house. So
Concert
that's
house.
beautiful. Yeah, and these are friends of ours. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a place to start the tour because you come across, I'm
Mm-hmm.
flying, but people are, traveling with the equipment across the country and stuff.
Right.
So you need to get to a place
Yeah.
where you can rest for about 24 hours if possible
Mm-hmm.
before we start.
Oh, yeah.
So and so after that concert, we're heading to the Focal Point Theater in St. Louis, Missouri,
Uh-huh.
and that's another place we've been visiting every year. So it's like
Yeah.
seeing old friends, you know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
really cool. And then we're doing a bunch of dates in Rochester. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's some TV stuff going on as well as
Nice.
radio, and I think three concerts in upstate New
Yeah.
York. And then we're in Rhode Island at the Blackstone River
Sweet.
Theater.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it for the benefit of people that might want to come out, get an idea where they can find us. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and after Rhode Island, a bunch of Pennsylvania dates and New Jersey dates. And one of
Uh-huh.
the Pennsylvania dates is
Is?
you are close to
Yes.
Pittsburgh, aren't you?
Uh-huh. Yes.
And we're going to be doing a special concert, and this might be the last time we do this concert because our friend
Uh-huh.
that you mentioned earlier, Chuck Austin,
Y-
just retired from being a pastor at the
Yeah.
Bryn Mawr Church. He was there
Mm-hmm.
for 47 years,
Yeah. He was
and
there.
it's like
He was like a staple there,
I know, and not only that,
Yeah.
but he's like the only goth minister I can think of. I mean, I mean, Chuck is just a lovely guy,
He
and
is.
we usually he would usually always bring us in for a concert when we
Mm-hmm.
came through, and since he was no longer there, I was able to connect with the church directly as well. So we're
Uh-huh.
going to do this also as a celebration for Chuck. So
Yes.
it should be really cool to get people out, and that's the 22nd of April in
Mm-hmm.
White Oak,
Yes.
Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that'll
Yeah.
be cool. And
Yeah.
then of course we're in Philadelphia area
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, and end up with 3-4 dates in Ohio. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a busy month,
Oh
and if
yeah.
people are curious to whether we're coming to their close to their hometown,
Mm-hmm.
tempestmusic.com has our schedule, so they
Awesome.
can
Awesome.
check into that. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody go check it out. And so you said that you have new music coming. So
Yeah.
tell a little bit about that, because your albums always seem to have like some type of cool theme around it. What like a lot of it's like Celtic, and then you
Yeah.
did one around Native American. Native American stories as well. So yeah, tell a little bit about the new music.
Well, the new music is also old music because what
Nice.
we decided to do
Uh-huh.
is do a reissue of our first official studio album because it's been
Ooh.
35 years since we
Wow.
first got signed, and we
Wow.
got that record out on Heyday Rough Trade back in 1991. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's a reissue with bonus tracks and stuff. So we're going to be doing
Nice.
some of those songs and listening back to it and working on it and
Mm-hmm.
remastering it and stuff. It's I don't know how good the record is really, but it's
Uh-huh.
a true picture of where the band was when we started. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of charm to it. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a younger version of ourselves. It's a lot more innocent and not
Yes.
very seasoned, but
Aw.
it's a good sounding product, and it hasn't
Yeah.
been available for years.
Uh-huh.
So we're excited about bringing that out.
Yeah.
And also, what's going to make this tour completely different is
Mm-hmm.
because we're doing it as an acoustic
Nice.
tour, and we never done that before. We've done
Wow.
occasional acoustic concerts on the West
Yeah.
Coast, but this time we decided to do the whole tour that way. So it's a little stripped down, but it's
Yeah.
still the Tempest energy that people are expecting. But
Oh, wow.
I'm using an acoustic double neck as opposed to an electric, and we
Ah.
have the fiddle player playing acoustic fiddle, and
Uh-huh.
with bass and drums and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
still a real folk rock band, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a good way to showcase some of those old songs,
Yeah.
and so it's different,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always cool to do something different. You got to challenge yourself,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. when you've been doing
Totally.
something for as long as we have,
Mm-hmm.
you need to pick up new challenges, and
Yes.
so we're excited about it. It's going to
Yeah.
be a really fun tour, you know.
Yes. Oh, that sounds exciting. Yeah, it'll be
Y-
cool to see you guys just doing like a stripped down acoustic version
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
set. Yeah, that's gonna be so
yeah.
cool. And it sounds like I better bring money to this to this show.
Well, yeah, well, you know, there'll be definitely stuff on the merch table, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think for our concert at Bryn Mawr, it's donations only, you know. So
Hmm.
there's no cover charge there per se. It's
Yeah.
different than all the other shows we do. We do
Hmm.
it more as a personal thing, you know. So
Yeah.
since there's no cover charge but just donations, you
Hmm.
know, people show their affection at the merch table, which is fine. You
Yeah,
know, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Any
yeah. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say any like memorable moments from recording that first album that, you can think of.
Oh man, you know, there's always memorable moments for albums, but
Yeah.
you know, I think we've done maybe 18 official albums
Hmm.
since then, and it gets a little bit blurry in the studio. But
Yeah.
what was memorable about it was that it was recorded so differently
Hmm.
because we started off by financing it ourselves. So
Right.
we would book off hours in local studios, you know
Hmm.
what I mean, to keep the
Yeah.
costs down. And so it took a long time to do,
Hmm.
which these days, personally, I prefer to do a record as a project. Set aside a month where you have
Hmm.
three weeks in the studio when you just
Hmm.
all you do is work on your record and that's it. So you have a start, a middle, and an end. And
Yeah.
so after that
Hmm.
month, it's you got your product because it's a recording in time, really, right? You
Yes. Oh
record
yeah.
a period in time. And
Yes.
this is what the band sounded like, you know, in April
Uh-huh.
2014 or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
these are the songs we wrote. This is what we were up to, and
Hmm.
this is the band from that era. So
Yeah.
each record is a recording in time, except that first one took a bloody year to do because we were
Uh-huh.
in and out of different studios. You know,
Right.
we would go out and do some shows and put a
Hmm.
few grand together and towards the record, and we did it that way,
Yeah.
and then there was a San Francisco label at the time called Heyday Records,
Okay.
and they took the record on after it was finished.
Hmm.
And since then, usually we've gotten a budget from a record label and then used that budget to record the album. It's been different,
Hmm.
but we were with Magna Carta. We got signed to Magna Carta record in 1995,
Okay.
and they sold that label a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
So our last album was the first one that came out on our own label, which
Uh-huh.
is Celtic Records, and
Right.
that came out um, uh, in 2021,
Uh-huh.
was it, or 2022, 21, and
Yeah.
so we decided to put out the first album
Uh-huh.
on Celtadelic as well, since I actually own the masters. All
Yeah.
the other masters are owned by, you know, the guys in the suits in the offices. You know, you
Mm.
can't. So it's
Hmm.
hard to keep the back catalog alive when it's on the
Yeah.
mercy of somebody else.
Right.
But so we're, you know, surely but slowly but surely bringing out the music that we have access to bring
Hmm.
back to people, and
Yeah.
so it's a step in the right direction to own our own back catalog, you know.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And if
So
somebody, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
as far as memorable moments of
Yeah.
that album, all I could think of is, you know, working odd hours. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like maybe work through the night because, you know, we got the engineer
Yeah.
who got Studio A available for 10
Uh-huh.
hours starting at midnight or whatever. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
wasn't the way we would work now because I like to, you know, go into the studio like 10 in the morning and
Hmm.
at 6 o'clock say goodbye and come back the next morning, you know,
Yeah.
and do it when you're alert, you know.
Mhm.
But back when you're in your, you know, in your 20s and early 30s and stuff, you know, you don't mind sleeping on the floor and
Yeah.
singing in the middle of the night, you know. So
Oh man. Yeah, but I'm sure like, some of those late nights in the studios and everything, it's like, I'm sure they were exhausting, but yet fun and rewarding.
yeah, and it's not all the glamour that people think it is, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like we all you because that whole access of the 70s. Like I have painted a
Mm.
picture, you know, when there was a lot of money going around in
Yeah.
rock and roll and stuff. And you
Mhm.
know, these days it's a lot more focused and you know it's like you don't bring in
Mhm.
hangers on to sit
Right.
around and watch you. You don't party, you know what I mean?
Uh,
But you focus and you play and you're well
yeah.
rehearsed, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You're creating art as
Yes.
opposed to a party atmosphere. But I
Mhm.
think a lot of the great records from the past that we love, you know, were came out of a party atmosphere, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, Tempest has never been the Rolling Stones, you know what I mean? It's we've had our own place in the world, you know,
Yes.
and we've been able to survive doing what we're doing,
Yeah.
and without you know ever hitting the big time, you know.
Mhm.
And the big time doesn't really exist on that level anymore, you know what I
No, it
mean?
really doesn't.
It doesn't. It now it's more like, hey, you find your purpose in life and you go with it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you
Agreed.
create your own place in the world where you be allowed to do what makes you happy. And
Yeah.
that's really what's been driving me for all these years.
Right.
You know, it's the fact that, you know, I found a job that combines the two things I love the most, you know,
Mhm.
travel and play music.
There you
You know,
go.
so
Yeah.
I've been blessed being able to do that, you know, ever
Uh-huh.
since, you know, I was 15 years old. And that's why it's
Mhm.
been interesting for me uh, to go back in time and write down my memoirs because
Yeah.
things starts to make sense after a while, you know,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you know, it's a good life, and I'm happy to do what I'm doing and keep
Mhm.
doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And Adolfo and I've been keeping that home fire burning the whole time. I mean, we
Uh-huh.
we kept the band alive. We've had people coming and going. As
Yeah.
I said in the beginning, you know, it's your friends start playing music together. It's very
Mhm.
organic. And
Yeah.
then now, you know, and they all got their regular jobs because they had babies coming and they got married and all this stuff. And now, you know, the babies are off to college or
Mhm.
they're out of the house and these
Yeah.
guys are get and their day jobs has retired and now they're back again, you know what
Now
I
they're
mean?
back.
but,
Yeah.
but we've been keeping it going the whole time,
Yeah.
so
Well,
you know, so two of us never grew up basically, you
right.
know.
Oh, that's,
Yeah,
hey, nothing wrong with
uh,
that. But
no, I
yeah,
know, I know.
yeah, but the thing, but no, but you are, definitely, you make a good point when you say that, kind of like the big time, quote unquote, is pretty much no more, especially, with the age of the internet and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in many ways, I mean, and some people say the internet is both like a blessing and a curse, but the blessing that it's been is that, it makes it a lot easier. And I've discussed this with other people like that have come on the show too, that it does make it a lot easier for people to find their purpose and really
yeah.
act on it and, reach the people that they are meant to reach and, find their niche market and in a way kind of become like a mini celebrity within that niche market. It's not really about like selling out arenas anymore.
No,
And
no.
yeah, and so like how have you found like the internet, like how has that been beneficial to Tempest?
That's a that's a loaded question, isn't it? Well, the thing, what you're saying on one hand is true, of
Mhm.
course, because it has triggered a lot of creativity in people and
Mhm.
give people an opportunity to fulfill some of their goals
Yeah.
without having financial backing or whatever,
Mhm.
and carve out their own place in the world that way.
Mhm.
For me as a musician, my whole life, I can
Mhm.
tell you that, yeah, of course, there's a good and bad.
Right.
That's the thing. Every change is like that.
Everything.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing. The bad thing
Mhm.
is that it's been taken away the living. You know,
Right.
it the it's really hard to just live on creativity alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially when you're a road warrior, you got to eat. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So since we used to do really well as a cottage industry selling records,
Mhm.
when we first got signed, uh, there was a big controversy because the record label that signed us, and I'm speaking of Magna Carta, which
Mhm.
was our main label for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
The discrepancy was that we were selling a lot of records at shows, and they wanted to put an
Mhm.
end to it because it cannibalized their efforts to get the record sold in the stores. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So it was that was the hardest thing to negotiate, to
Mhm.
be able to keep that cottage industry we were doing alive, to keep that
Yeah.
alive, to be able to do that. So to get around it, technically, I had to set myself up as a mail order house. So
Okay.
I would be independent from Tempest and from the record label because they were under contract
Mhm.
with Sony, and
Okay.
Sony would put a kibosh on them
Of
if
course. Yeah.
they let the artist go out there and sell on their own. Because when the
Right.
Sony rep came to the record store to
Mhm.
sell Tempest, they said, "Oh no, they're out there playing gigs, selling it on their own. I don't think we can take much of this here because you know
Yeah.
what I mean." So, so I set myself up as a mail order house, and I would then sell to Tempest, and I
Mhm.
happened to be in the band. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Magna Carta itself didn't break a contract with their distributor. They
Mhm.
just were able to also sell to mail order houses. I was
Right.
one of them. I happened to be in the band. So we
Yeah.
found that loophole.
Uh-huh.
And after the first two, three titles we did for them, the
Mhm.
music industry was changing at the same time because now the internet
Right.
started coming and
Mhm.
things started changing. And all of a sudden, people weren't buying music at the record stores anymore.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Tempest was still selling a lot of records. So, but we were doing it on our own. So
Right.
we became more important for the label as a customer at that point because they
Mhm.
knew that we could take, if I mean, like we could move a few thousand over the first few months just through our own shows and mail orders.
Yeah.
So we it was easy enough to invest in new Tempest records because they knew
Mhm.
there was a predictable turnaround of cash flow there that
Yeah.
existed based on the fact that we had that going. So
Mhm.
what we were not allowed to do when we got signed became the reason that we kept doing records for them later. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
having gone through all those changes and see how all that and lived with all the changes in the music industry,
Yeah.
it's very heartening now where people don't want physical products anymore because without
Right.
the Spotify thing and all that stuff, yeah, it's great, you
Mhm.
can get your art out there, but man,
Yeah.
it's like it's not paying anything. You can pretend that it's paid something, but it's so minimal that
Yeah.
it's kind of sad,
Yeah.
so that's the one thing uh that the internet has done. They've created so many great artistic
Mhm.
platforms for people to go
Yeah.
out and have a fulfilling life, but they can't make a living doing it. And
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Mhm.
You know, I'm lucky still doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
because it's what I do. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
But if I was starting up today, man, it would be a different story. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
completely. So
Mhm.
it's interesting how those times works. And my nostalgia for vinyl came
Uh-huh.
out because it's like I sold my vinyl collection
Hmm.
back in the 70s and bought a one-way ticket from London to New York. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I
yeah.
put all my records out on the street and I got a one-way ticket with Lakers SkyTrain, right? So
Nice.
I never replaced those vinyl albums until I started writing my book, because
Oh,
music is such a
yeah.
great memory trigger, you know,
Hmm.
and I have a humongous CD collection
Yeah.
and stuff, but it's not the same. I just realized that a vinyl record has a lot of other things to offer, the
Uh-huh.
physical aspect of it,
Yeah.
the way it sounds and smells and looks and all that
Hmm.
put me right back to the era I was writing about, which was my
Yeah.
teenage years.
Right.
So, so I have now the last 3 years I've been like collecting all those things, all those albums I sold out on the street in
Hmm.
Oslo is now on my shelf again. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And so
wow.
it made me
Cool.
a lot closer to the source
Yeah.
of being a musician, what inspired me as a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's been really exciting. And
Hmm.
and it's harder for people growing up now, if they're if digital technology is all they know,
Right.
they they don't they don't have access to that experience unless they really sort it out, look for it and
Yeah.
know where to find it, and because
Right.
it's available to people.
Yeah.
But the more shallow things can get, the more people are searching for the real thing too. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
so
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
it's interesting times. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the one thing you always know is that there's always going to be changes. So you just
Yeah.
have to roll with it.
Yeah, I just got to roll with the punches and, make the most of it, try to, see the benefit and create, the benefit in it, as much as possible, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But on the other hand, you know, yeah, so the revenue from records and CDs
Hmm.
and all that is not what it should be and not what it
Right.
used to be.
Hmm.
But live music will never go away. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It'll
Hmm.
never go away. It's never going to be replaced by AI and machines and
No,
stuff, because it doesn't connect with the human spirit
it really
in the
doesn't.
same way. Yeah.
No, it really doesn't. And, and I've already seen some backlash from like AI. Like people are just like a lot of people aren't having it, which is like really, really heartening. Like of
Yeah.
course
Yeah.
there's always going to be that segment of the population that is like, oh, AI, blah blah blah. But I see more and more people every day just being like, yeah, I don't want this AI. I want like genuine art from the artist,
Yeah.
whatever that art may be, whether it's music,
Exactly.
movies, books, whatever. And, and people, there's people that when if they even think that your book is AI, they're just like,
Yeah.
they're not
And
having it. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
and my publisher and co-writer put it right on the front page. This
Yeah.
we will not use any AI
We're
on
not
this,
using any AI. No AI. Well, it's gotten to where like even if I like take a photo and maybe edit it a little bit in Lightroom and everything, I put the disclaimer not AI, I
Yeah,
actually I took the photo, did the editing, same thing with my music and same thing,
yeah,
with my podcasting. It's all me, I do like I write everything. It's all me. The one thing I do use is a service called like Opus Clip, where like it scans like say these podcast episodes and it creates highlight clips that I can post on like Instagram and TikTok. That does
yeah.
save me a ton of time, I will say that. So in that case, in that sense, it can be a good thing, but
Hmm.
like a good time saver as far as that is concerned. But as far as like the actual creative process, like it's all me, and that's what I always want people to know. Like it's and I'm sure you too. Like it's all me.
I
Yeah.
know, and it's yeah, AI is fairly new, but the
Mhm.
whole digital technology, the way it's worked, you just look at music journalism. I
Yeah.
mean, in the beginning, say I was pretty good at promoting the band
Mm-hmm.
when the band started,
Yeah.
and I built up, a whole community of friends that were music writers, basically,
Right.
because they would do interviews and featured stories, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to know each other. And what we had in common was we were both music fans. I
Yeah.
was musician, but they were usually uh, some of them might have been musicians with a failed purpose, or just
Mm-hmm.
music fans that liked I mean, like, we had that
Yeah.
in common.
Uh-huh.
So it was a community of people back then, late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
And there was a lot of intelligent articles. And, you know, you're excited when, like, I remember, like, one of the things that kicked us off as a
Mm-hmm.
band was when the music critic for the Oakland Tribune invited me
Mm-hmm.
for lunch to do a feature article and did
Nice.
an interview. It's like a big thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then as the internet started sneaking
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s and stuff, all of a sudden it was cut and paste. You
Right.
know what I mean? You just took the
Mm-hmm.
bio that the person put up on their website, or what the
Right.
band had to say about themselves
Yeah.
on their website, and did a cut and paste job. All of a sudden there wasn't,
Right.
the heart went out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everything just was a matter of, consumer convenience, like,
Yes.
so everything became more superficial as a result of it.
Right.
It,
Yeah.
it might sound like I'm against the internet, but I'm absolutely not. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that there's two sides of this coin this
Yes.
whole time, and it's didn't just start with AI. It's like that
Right.
whole superficial way of using technology
Right.
has been part of it,
Yes.
for the longest time. And
Yeah.
because now it's like you don't connect with music journalists. When I'm going
Right.
to promote this tour, it's all going
Uh-huh.
to be like pay event pages and
Yeah.
boost your post on social
Right.
media. In the
Yeah.
past, it would be sending out press releases, meeting
Mm-hmm.
up with journalists, doing phone
Mm-hmm.
interviews,
Mm-hmm.
radio spots. It was so organic, and it was
Yeah.
personal,
Uh-huh.
and and music performance is a personal thing. It's communication between audience and musician, and you
Yeah.
know and so a lot of the value has been lost. But as
Mm-hmm.
you said, there's good things about it.
Yeah.
It started when people could start burn their own CDs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't need record plants anymore to press albums. People could put their music out and put it in front of people, and
Yeah.
that's very, very rewarding right
Uh-huh.
there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, but man, there's nothing more fun than being a teenager and hear yourself on
Mm-hmm.
the radio for the first time, or walk into a record
Yeah.
store and see your album on display. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's now it's all so different, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. And well, and the thing too is though, it's like I think when things start to like shift too far one way, the pendulum starts to kind of swing back the other way. And
Yeah,
well, obviously the internet's not going away anytime soon. However, I think there are a lot of people like seeking out more of a balance right now. I think, because I'm sure as you've seen, like celebrity culture, influencer culture is kind of dying out right now. Like people like they want to see real, they want to see authentic. It's like they don't
yeah,
want to see, oh, look at my $10,000 designer bag that no, like absolutely, like really no one can relate to that. And
yeah,
and I think that there is kind of like that shift was what I'm seeing going back to back in like say YouTube's original day when like people were actually getting creative with their content and actually doing it like from their hearts. And
right,
and it wasn't just about showing off like I guess like I said, like your newest handbag or something like that. It was actually about that creativity, and people seem to be kind of like the pendulum is kind of swinging back there. And when I had Susanna Sprague on my on the show, like we were kind of talking about this, um, and I would say, and obviously there were definitely some toxic things about the MySpace days too. But however, in the MySpace days, from what I can recall, like there was more of that balance where, okay, people can log into MySpace, see what their friends are up to, see what their favorite bands or artists are up to, but then they also still had their life outside of social media and everything.
Right,
And
right.
and that's what I would like to see. I would like to see that balance like come back. And
Yeah,
and I think we're starting to see that slow shift over, because even like, with my podcasts and everything, my goal is to kind of bring some of that authenticity back, to really like sit down and like, whether I do a solo episode where I talk about something that's like on my heart, or I have on like a really cool guest, and, just to kind of banter back and forth, and like, so that they can get their ideas out, and, and their work out and everything. Like that's, one thing that, I'm, you know, trying to bring back, like I'm not saying,
yeah,
oh yeah, I'm bringing it back, but I'd like to think that, I'm at least a small part of, that
yeah.
shift back,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm an eternal optimist myself too,
Hmm.
because and that's one of the things that I think attracted me to the U.S. As a young busking, uh,
Hmm.
hitchhiking, no fear kind of character. I'm
Yeah.
like completely fearless. I'm going to go and do this, and I'm nothing stopping me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But what I was attracted to, I think, with the U.S., well, one of the things was it was such a bloody big country, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you never ran out of any gigs. But on
Hmm.
the other hand, the extremes were so intense. I mean,
Right.
for all this like total ignorance, you also had so much substance on the other hand.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the two was really um, it was easier for me to recognize it and work with it and be excited about it and you know what I
Hmm.
mean
Yeah.
and you need those two opposites to be there, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
right now, I mean, with a country as split as the US is, the
Yeah.
opposites are really, it's really,
Hmm.
there's a lot of rumbling going around. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And and I sit in the middle. I go, well, my purpose now is just if I can go out there and play music for people, I
Yeah.
raise my spirit and I
Yeah.
raise their spirit, and
Uh-huh.
that effect is real.
Yeah.
And all this other crap is not. You
It's
know what I mean?
not. Yes.
Just keep it very, very simple. If people can
Yes.
walk away from your show feeling a little
Hmm.
better, I'm not saying forget about this or that, but like
Yeah.
strengthen your core, and
Hmm.
having that exchange with an audience is
Hmm.
so important. And that's what I realized when I took 2024 pretty much off
Yeah.
performing, was that I have to do this. I have to
Yeah.
get back on the road again because I'm
Hmm.
not complete without doing it. It's my
Yeah.
bloody purpose. And
Yeah.
if I can't live fulfilling my purpose, yeah, I
Right.
mean, doing all these other things like being in the studio or writing books or whatever, yeah, that's fulfilling too.
Hmm.
But I need that connection, that
Yeah.
real connection
Hmm.
with the human spirit, because that's what I need.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's becoming very clear that
Yeah.
people will always look for that. So
Yeah.
the authenticity will be there. You're not
Hmm.
going to be replaced by machines because it ain't
No.
gonna. It's gonna not make you ricky tick go boom boom, is it?
Right.
You
No.
know?
No, and I know like, sometimes you have like, the doom and gloom crowd out there that's like, "Oh, AI is gonna, take over everything and it's all gonna be blah blah blah." But you know what? But the thing is, and I believe this, it's like whatever you set your focus on is what comes to pass, you
Right.
know. And if you continue, and this isn't just in the grand scheme of things, this is just like, even just in your personal life, if you, just focus on the doom and gloom, the negative, and I'm not saying like, oh, for like, say like if you have to pay your rent, like don't pay your rent or whatever, but obviously there are some things that do need your attention, but but if it's just all like, oh, just if all you're focusing on is just negative, 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 doom and gloom, everything's crap and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what's going to reflect back to you,
Yeah.
in your own life. And
Of course, yeah.
yeah.
What you seek is seeking you. I mean,
Hmm.
that's continuous cycle is what you're living with the whole time. It's
Yeah.
there, you know.
Hmm.
So I mean,
Absolutely.
and you got to find your balance
Hmm.
and you know, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we are gonna survive, and we are
Yeah.
gonna prosper, and we're gonna enjoy the journey. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
Yes.
there's some obstacles along the way. But that's
Oh
what we're
yeah.
dealing with. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what? And I look at it this way, humans have been through some real doozies throughout history, and you know what? We're still here,
yeah.
and
And at the end of the day, it's all consciousness
yeah.
anyway. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you know, it's all about raising consciousness, and you can do that through art and music
Hmm.
and everything, and that's what we keep doing, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I love that philosophy. And and since we do get into some like, spiritual subjects and even paranormal subjects, both on this podcast as well as on the Bonfires and Castles podcast. Have you guys ever had any uh moments on the road that were maybe a little spooky, unexplainable, or maybe like awakened your consciousness even more? And if so, like, I'd love to hear about it. So,
Well, you know, I don't think there's been a real group consciousness uh with that has had the same experience that I can
hmm,
think of. You
yeah.
know, I mean, there's certainly been many spooky
Yeah.
things on the road. You know what
Woo!
I mean? I mean, you know, I've been expanding my consciousness on the road
Hmm.
always, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I've had my personal experiences. As far as, you know, sh having that shared with band members,
Yeah.
um, because we've had so many people coming and going in the
Right.
band over the years, so it's hard to
Uh-huh.
like have that really established as we never became one organism that way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But now and again you will have your favorite bandmates that you might be rooming with or traveling
Hmm.
with that you can share these experiences with. But
Yeah.
we've had a lot of really, you know, speaking of spooky, and here's an
Woo!
example I could think of like
Yeah.
30 years ago,
Uh-huh.
the week before Christmas, we
Yeah.
got a residency gig in a place called Mammoth, which
Okay.
is mountains in California. It's,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a ski resort, and we'd been there in the summer
Uh-huh.
and done a festival.
Yeah.
And one of the hotel owners came up to me and said, "Look, you know, we got this fabulous nightclub in our
Hmm.
hotel in the basement, and we can book you for a week,
Yeah.
and let's find a date." And at that point, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, we don't have much going on in December because we don't play
Hmm.
Christmas music, so they
Right.
booked us the week
Hmm.
before December. And this is like way up in the mountains, like you get altitude
Yeah.
sickness. You know, you get
Oh man. Yeah.
psychedelic dreams when you first try to sleep there. So we
Breathing
get
the air.
so we get into this. I think we only got to play one night, and then
Okay.
all hell broke loose. There was the worst, you know, snowstorm that
Oh
anybody
no.
remembered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got snowed in on the mountain,
Oh man.
and this was like right before Christmas, 1996.
It's kind of like The
And
Shining, you know?
completely The Shining, because what happened is this particular hotel owner, he had taken advantage of the fact that they're close to a lot of prisons down. So they had
Um,
hired from Corcoran, maybe other prisons around in LA County. They had hired lots of ex-cons to work cheap. So
oh,
basically, that was the staff.
oh
And the
God.
minute the minute there was a blackout, out came the knives and they started robbing the liquor cabinets, of
Oh
course.
no.
So, so speaking of spooky,
Yeah.
you sit there in your room and you're freezing cold and you got a little candle, and
Yeah.
outside, it is The Shining, right? And
Yeah.
I remember the second day, Patricia and I got out to get supplies.
Uh-huh.
So there was a little bit of what looked like, the storm had let up a little bit, so we could get the van moved down
Yeah.
to the local store.
Uh-huh.
But by the time we got down there, like sneaking down the mountains
Mhm.
in the van, but by the time we got there, it was complete whiteout, and I got
Oh no.
lost in the parking lot. And I never experienced a total whiteout before, where you can't
Yeah.
see anything. And I don't know how this happened, but we ended up getting kind of rescued by
Okay.
some local guy that put
Yeah.
us in a little cabin, and we had a little wood stove. We sat around that wood stove for 24 hours, got a little
Hmm.
sleep in front of the stove,
Yeah.
got ourselves back up on the mountain, and
Uh-huh.
we were just basically, the band got stuck. We were stuck, and we didn't know if we were going to make it home for Christmas, kind of a
Oh
thing, right?
no.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, there was very strange things going around in this hotel,
Yeah.
but somehow the storm ended, and on the 23rd of December, we came back to our home base in the Bay Area. And I
Yeah.
remember that being really, really spooky. And when I
Uh-huh.
think of spooky too, I think a lot of like prison things comes into mind, and I think for me, probably a lot of past life trauma when it comes to
Ooh.
being locked up. Like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I
Uh-huh.
remember I cleared out a room in my parents' basement and
Yeah.
turned it into a jail, and I had them lock me up there and just give me uh, bread and water. It's like I'd loved being locked up. It's like this weird fascination. So
Wow. So
I've
like you're
always
living
booked.
some type of past life, you know?
Yeah, and so I've always booked, prison gigs for the bands I've been in, dating
Oh.
back to my old bands in Norway, and
Uh-huh.
Tempest have done those too, and those have been, some of them's been spooky. Like one
Yeah.
year we did the Corcoran. Well, we did Corcoran when Manson was there, for
Oh,
one thing, and I got,
wow.
and that's a whole other story that I should write about in my
I'm sure,
next
yeah.
volume of my book. But
Woo.
the one that comes to mind is the Christmas, I mean, the prison for the criminally insane in Vacaville, California. And back then we
Oh.
had Sue Draheim, fabulous fiddle
Oh.
player, was with
Uh-huh.
us, and we got stuck in there. I mean, like that's a really,
Oh.
really high security prison,
Yeah.
and we got the gig because there was a real progressive guy in charge of the budget.
Okay.
And so he goes like, well, we gotta have to bring in some culture into this reality of these
Yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was a Tempest fan, so he were able
Okay.
to finagle us into the budget so we could
Uh-huh.
do this gig.
Uh-huh.
But there was the powers to be in that prison did not like this. You know what I mean?
Oh.
They didn't like it at all. Why these like long-haired
Why?
kids are gonna start playing guitars and sing about the
Oh.
meaning of life inside of their prison? It's like, you
Yeah.
know. So what they did is they called, they set the alarm off after our second song.
Oh.
So there was a lockdown. So nobody could get in, nobody could get out. So
Uh-huh.
we were stuck in this prison. And
Yeah.
Sue and I, and she was really, really strong. I mean, being in a woman in that environment was really difficult, but
Yeah.
we spent the day talking to people, like, we went from cell to cell and just talked
Uh-huh.
to people, like, and outside they had little cards that would say, how long they've
Mhm.
been locked up, and
Yeah.
name changes, sex changes, all kinds of stuff were
Huh.
recorded on these little cards.
Yeah.
And we talked to people that hadn't talked to people on the outside for years and
Oh,
years and years.
wow. Yeah.
And so, spookiness on the road for me, a lot of it takes place in prisons. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
we haven't done it for a long time,
Yeah.
but yeah, whether it's on Mammoth Mountain or anywhere else, it's
Uh-huh.
when people are, people are in prison in their bodies to begin with, and then
Oh
they
yeah.
lock these bodies up in little cells. It's
Yeah.
and going in there as a free spirit
Yeah.
playing music to lift their
Yeah.
spirit. It's just a wild experience. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah,
You
sounds
know,
like it.
but
And
but but it's
yeah.
but as far as abnormal, I mean, like I it's hard for me to think of it that way because the mystery of life
Yeah.
isn't it's all in the transcendence anyway. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It can all be explained that way, and
Yeah.
I feel that you know all this little thing you encounter along the way are just little pieces of that puzzle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Of that
Yeah.
whole holistic thing that you're part of.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
So I'm just happy being alive, doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Hmm. Oh, so cool. And like, and what like advice would you have, like just for people to like stay grounded and stay balanced, like with all the craziness going on?
Well, so they have to find their own source,
Yeah.
and doing things that would feed their spirit,
Hmm.
meditate,
Yeah.
uh, number one, and
Mhm.
be true to yourself. You
Yes.
know what I mean? That's, if you do that, you're
Yeah.
you're you're totally on your way, and find your place in the world where you can do a little good, because
Yeah.
a little good goes a long way,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You
But
never know who you might impact or help, just by doing your thing. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I certainly have a great time talking with you,
Yeah.
and let's see what you do with the final product. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can edit out.
You know what? I haven't really, like, I don't really edit things out because,
Yeah,
unless like there's like a major flub up, like, okay, like I had, one person where like, okay, like they just completely froze and then we had to regroup and come back on, like something like that I would edit
yeah,
out.
yeah,
But you know what? But I like the authentic conversations, and
yeah,
and that's what this is really all about. I mean, yeah, it's to like, help, promote like my fellow artists and stuff like that. But I like, just authentic and real conversation too. And that's also, my goal with these. So yeah, I don't really edit things out unless there's like some major flub up. So
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
No, but a lot of good stuff. And yeah, and so and people can find more information about your shows and everything at the Tempest website.
yeah, tempestmusic.com.
Mhm.
They can order our CDs there, and of
Cool.
course you can order the book there too. Get it a little bit cheaper than Amazon. So
Yeah.
order my book on tempestmusic.com, and I'll sign it for you. You
Yay.
know, and that's been another great exchange one to one. Getting the feedback from
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Because putting my story out there was a
Uh-huh.
little bit nerve-wracking to begin with,
Oh, of course.
but it
Yeah.
was easier to do after my parents had passed. I mean,
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
had been an ongoing project in the back of my mind for a long time, but I knew that
Yeah.
the only way I would do this was to be like, completely honest.
Right.
And my memory is very good.
Yeah.
But it's subjective, you know what I mean?
Right.
I might remember it a little different than somebody else.
Yeah.
And I figured if I'm going to tell my story, it's going to be the real deal. So if
Yeah.
one day come and my memory is not as good anymore, I can read the
Mhm.
bloody book, right?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And so
Exactly.
so it was a real purification thing to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And I kind of lived inside of it. I couldn't just
Yeah.
write for a couple of hours and then go out and have a band rehearsal and then go to the store and write for another half an hour. It had to be
Mhm.
like focused. I would have 3, 4 days at a time. That's what I would be doing. So I
Yeah.
could relive the experiences, you know
Uh-huh.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen to the music from that time, look at old journals, go
Mhm.
through old letters,
Yeah.
photos, put the pieces together and realize so much by just being witness to my own life that way. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a trip, and people seem to really enjoy it. And
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
good.
obviously most of the people that have bought my book has been, Tempest fans or people that know me from the band. So
Yeah.
they're waiting for the second volume because the Tempest years is
Uh-huh.
the what I'm working on now. So we're going to
Yeah.
bring the story up to date. But
Uh-huh.
I hope I can do it in one book. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm one third into it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying not to get more than 80,000 words in there so we can have a lot of good photos and stuff. So,
Yay.
but
All right.
I think people will be very excited about the second volume. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And you said you're coming to my area in April, correct?
yeah, yeah. April 22nd, we'll be
Woo.
at the Bryn Mawr Church in White Oak.
Yeah, I'll
And
totally be there.
the next night, we're in Cleveland. And the night before, we're in Hightstown, New Jersey.
Oh,
So, I mean,
wow.
check out, we're playing every night. So, check
Yeah.
out our tour schedule. We start in the Midwest, go a loop around the East Coast, and back in the Midwest. And
Yes.
it's been 3 years since we did that swing. So, we
Yeah.
look forward to see old friends,
Woo.
hopefully make some new ones, and
Yeah.
introduce them to the more acoustic aspect of our music.
Oh, that'll be
And we'll be
awesome.
playing, some more, there'll be some unpredictable things in there. We dug
Yeah.
out some great old Nordic stuff that we haven't done with Tempest for a long
Love
time,
it.
and,
Yeah.
and, and stuff Tempest never done before.
Nice.
But we also have a compilation of radio performances we did
Oh, okay. Yeah.
over the years, and those by nature have been more stripped down because
Yeah.
a lot of times in a radio studio you can't really bring all the big amplifiers and all
Oh,
that stuff.
yeah. Of
So
course.
it's been more stripped down and more acoustic. And some
Uh-huh.
of the songs we adapted into this live set.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be good. It's going to be, friends on the road together. You
Yeah.
know, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of miles on the road, though. A lot of miles.
Yes.
Yeah,
But sometimes that's
yeah.
good, just kind of doing that open road trip. I love me a good road trip, absolutely. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll all look forward to see you soon, and we'll
Woo!
celebrate your friend Chuck Austin's whole, his life and career there
Yeah.
at the Bryn Mawr Church, and
Uh-huh.
we're gonna give him a nice opening slot, and he'll
Woo!
invite some friends, and
Yeah.
then we'll do a special concert for everybody, since
Yeah.
it's probably the last time we have a chance to do that in that venue.
In that venue. Yeah, you guys have
Yeah.
been like going to that venue for quite some time and
I'm trying to figure out. It's been at least 15 years, I think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But I remember the first time I met Chuck. Man, we were playing a back room at a pizza parlor in
Uh-huh.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and I remember him showing up. He had a black beret on,
Uh-huh.
and he seemed to know more about Tempest than I did at the time, and he was really into mythology, and we
Yeah.
had long discussions about Appalachian versus Celtic, and I remember
Hmm.
we were talking about the house carpenter
Oh
and songs
yeah.
like that,
Uh-huh.
before the show, and then we had an opening band.
Uh-huh.
What are they called again? Like the crawling low band, or the crawling
Okay.
low band, and
Uh-huh.
their feature instrument was a bowed saw, and
Oh.
they sounded so bad that all our fans
Oh no.
vacated the venue because it was like disharmonic saw music. It was really bizarre,
Oh. Oh
and
no.
but and it all took place in a back room of a pizza parlor in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
never know what's gonna. But that's when I first met Chuck Austin. And
Yeah.
And I have a lot of affinity for that guy. He's done a lot of good in this community, and
Yes.
he's always been a one-off. Now and again, you meet people that are one-offs, and he's one of them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
able to do another show with Chuck is good, and I hope a lot of his friends will come out and honor his time at the
Yeah.
Bryn Mawr Church. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be good. It'll be
Yeah.
good. All right, Tiffany. So it won't in a few short weeks we're gonna see
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
In the
Uh-huh.
meantime, thanks for everything you do online
Oh,
and
yeah.
elsewhere. And
Uh-huh. Thank you.
if
Yes.
you have any requests for the show, uh,
Ooh,
let me know.
I'll have to think about that.
Think
Yeah.
about it. Can't promise anything, of course, but you
Yeah.
never know.
Give you a little, yeah, look kind of like a couple requests there. All right.
All right. Okay. You have a good one.
Yes, you too. Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. And if you have a chance to go see Tempest, I definitely recommend it, especially since they're doing this very it's unique to them, an acoustic performance, like an acoustic tour. So
Yeah.
I definitely recommend checking them out. And yeah, I'll definitely look forward to seeing you in Pittsburgh on the 22nd, correct?
Wonderful. 22nd of
Yes.
April, and thank you everybody, and thanks for having me on. Hope
Yes,
we can do it again soon.
absolutely. Thank you, everybody. As always, stay safe, stay fierce. And if you're listening on the After Hours podcast, stay spooky as well.
All right.
Okay.